Joe Rogan just figured out something terrifying about Diddy's case. The web of crimes doesn't stop with him. It goes straight to the top of the pyramid. And what he discovered on his podcast might have been a huge mistake to say out loud. So in this video, we're breaking down the entire power structure, from Diddy all the way up to the names at the very top. You're going to discover who the real players are, why certain names never get questioned no matter what, and why Joe Rogan might have crossed a dangerous line by discussing it publicly on his show. Trust me, this is going to blow your mind.
Observe as Diddy sits in his cell at the moment, waiting for trial. Most of us believe the narrative is over. With him, correct? Incorrect. The work of Joe Rogan, a recent podcast discussion showed something for which no one was prepared. Moreover, to be honest, it's a little frightening when you consider it. The amusement mogul's network extends far beyond what appears in the headlines. We're discussing relationships that go so. They penetrate every area of authority in this nation. Thus, in this video, we're dismantling the entire system of power, from Diddy to the names themselves. At the highest point, you will find out who the true players are and why. Some names are never questioned, regardless of the circumstances, and why Joe Rogan might have gone too far by publicly talking about it on his show. I promise that this will blow your mind. Mentality.
Going to be in jail for the rest of his life. I think he's probably going to get.
Think he's insane though?
I don't know. I don't even think it matters. I mean, it's a lot of it is.
But then it's just another Epstein. It's another Ghislaine
case.
Maxwell, where
there's
somebody
murder
gets indicted
cases.
and nobody else indicted for trafficking kids to
Right.
no
to
one.
no one. Right. We're like, what is the next crazy thing that's going to explode in the news? Is Bill Clinton's going to have an OnlyFans? Like, what is going to happen? What is the next thing that's going to make us all go, what the f-? Like, what the f is going on?
It's coming.
Like,
You know it's
how many guys were on video saying, ain't no party like a Diddy party? How many people like openly talked about being there?
LeBron?
Yeah, how about Ashton Kutcher? All these people. Like, you guys all went, you didn't see nothing?
Prior to discussing who is actually pulling the threads, you must comprehend what Diddy did, in fact, since without this context, the remainder won't make sense. Diddy is now incarcerated in imprisonment. After being detained, he was charged on some quite serious charges, as you already aware. Currently, federal prosecutors claim that he utilized his influence and position to put victims in appalling circumstances. This is the point at when it becomes extremely black. The notorious freak-offs. These were intimate gatherings where famous people were purportedly drugged and captured on camera without even being aware that it was taking place. Are you able to? Can you imagine? You believe you are at a gathering and everything is being recorded for use by someone against you in the future. More than 120 individuals have come forward with accusations and obtain. 25 of them were underage children. That's what we're discussing, men. In this place. 50 Cent's most recent Netflix, The Reckoning, a documentary, even greater focus on the case. He wasn't scared to reveal all, and, to be honest, well done for him. However, this is what the majority of individuals are unaware. Additionally, this is the portion that will transform everything. Diddy wasn't working by himself, and he undoubtedly wasn't at the top of this item. Now let's get started. In an episode of his podcast, Joe Rogan began making connections that most people were too afraid to interact. He was mentioned Jeffrey Epstein, and all of a sudden, the parallels between their operations became unavoidable. The discussion became really serious. But is he? Inquired one of his visitors. You know, like, is he going to sing? Intending to turn on everyone else. Engaged. And this is the point at which Rogan's something clicked in my brain. He made note of something that ought to make each of us awkward. The pattern of Epstein. When someone is charged with trafficking, however, no one else seems to fall down with. Consider it. The scene was, to whom are children being trafficked? As stated by official documents, to nobody. Ghislaine Maxwell was found guilty of trafficking. To no one once more. Does that mean Does that make sense to you? Because it certainly. I don't understand it. The pattern is incredibly clear. The individuals at the top always find a way out. It's similar to repeatedly watching the same film. And repeatedly, but no one appears to take note. Rogan then began to drop Ashton Kutcher, LeBron James, some well-known individuals that spoke candidly. I'm going to Diddy's parties back in the day. Keep in mind that none of those are parties similar to the Diddy party videos. Rogan's. However, the inquiry struck a different note. He was inquired directly, "You guys all went? You saw nothing?" And that's the thing, isn't it? The quiet from these people claim to have either known what was taking place or they participated in it. In this case, there is no middle ground. Oh, must discuss the emperor. Diddy was the ruler of his small realm, sir. The real emperor is Lucian Grange, drawing strings out of the darkness. Grange is Universal Music Group CEO. That is essentially the parent business of every major label that Diddy has ever worked for. You can't even match this man's power. Imagine. This is where it gets crazy. Grange was involved in the Little Rod lawsuit, truly given a name. The hypothesis? Principal labels, such as Universal, offers the full infrastructure so that these moguls can function. They are more than just music businesses, they are rackets for protection. And the documents that were released, wow, they are condemning.
These words would come out my mouth, but Candace Owens is onto something, and that did not feel comfortable at all. So Candace says the reason mainstream news is not picking up this lawsuit, is not paying attention to Diddy at all, is because of this man right here, Lucian Grange. He is one of the most powerful men in Hollywood and music. And he been up in Diddy's room. So this man right here is Sir Lucian Charles Grange. He's been the CEO of Universal Music Group since 2010, so you know he done seen some shit. So I had to go to the damn documents. I had to see if this man was actually named, and he is. As you can see, it says Lucian Charles Grange, and it also says Universal Music Group. On top of that, it says Ethiopia. I cannot fuck up her last name. I refuse to. But she was also a big person in Universal Music Group. And then Christina Coramham, Lord forgive. But she was like Diddy's second hand.
According to the lawsuit, Grange didn't simply be aware of the parties, sponsored them. He went to them several times at Diddy's Los Angeles. At home, these parties employed explicit workers and young girls there. Let that sink in for a moment. Teenage females. The lawsuit directly claims that Grange knew or ought to have been aware that Diddy was giving individuals drugs by means of laced bottles of Serac and Delian tequila. Diddy's personal brands of booze. By the way, Wild Hut Owens, Candace, truly called this out. She gestured. Determine why the mainstream media wasn't moving. This narrative. Lucian Grange is among the most influential figures in Hollywood and music. He determines what is covered and what is buried. He is named in the complaint, straight alongside Ethiopia Habamariam and Universal's Christina Kororum musical ensemble. As stated in the documents, they were all aware of what was taking place, observed it. They were present. However, they never halted it. Due to the major label, the money is held by CEOs. They choose which issues are worth defending. These issues result in billions of dollars. Is that easy and that repulsive? This is precisely the reason you're not witnessing the explosion of this news on CNN or Fox News. These influential people have sway over the story. What you receive is under their control. To be aware, regarding Diddy's inner circle, Jay-Z's name is always spoken. These two are more than simply pals. The brothers in the business. Diddy once claimed that just two individuals in the total. The world is permitted to refer to him by his. Sean is his real name. Jay-Z and his mother. That's all. No one else.
Only one person.
Oh, go on.
And I call him Sean. That's Jay-Z. We call each other Sean.
Okay.
Yeah. Nobody else could call me Sean.
He's
You
the
know,
only person who's
there's
Sean approved.
There's not a single person that
Outside
should
of family?
that should be outside of my mother.
Okay,
That
just
should be calling me. Yeah, that should be calling me Sean.
Jaguar right now, if you're unsure. She is essentially the woman that she is, who doesn't hesitate to express what someone else is thinking. She took a seat with Piers Morgan and detonated some explosives. Assertions regarding Diddy and Jay-Z. However, here's the bizarre aspect. The entire episode vanished, similar to being removed from the internet, buried nearly immediately. Now it's almost impossible to find. Why would that occur if there was nothing to? I'm just curious. Throughout that, Wright posed the query during the interview that has been around for a long time. How does Jay-Z manage to have a conversation with Gayle King on national television and never, ever, once be questioned on specific rumors or connections in the industry? She failed to hold back either. She made calls to Diddy and Jay-Z monsters, said that their strength has been literally destroying the industry for this. And individuals began to inquire about the obvious query. Why would Jay-Z's personal, well-known lawyer abruptly participate in Diddy's legal troubles? A connection, a coincidence, or anything? Much more is going on behind closed doors. Things we shouldn't be aware of? Jay-Z has never addressed any in public of these murmurs. Additionally, in the modern world, it doesn't appear unbiased to remain mute. It appears to be a decision, a very deliberate option. Joe Rogan discusses all of this. The duration of his podcast. High level. Elites don't deal with their own issues. They use costly fixers and lawful teams whose sole responsibility is to make stories vanish. Individuals such as Alan Grubman. Have you heard of him? Most likely, not at all. And that's precisely the point. A powerful lawyer who defends everyone. From Bruce Springsteen to Diddy. People link the whole industry. Collectively, they are the top professionals in the field. Working in the dark. They have all the mysteries. They draft the NDAs that keep victims quiet for 20 to 30 years. They are superior to everyone else because they control data. Additionally, in this reality, the ultimate power is information. They decide not to tell your story. It doesn't get revealed, I promise. Joe Rogan has a former CIA agent named Mike. On Baker's program, they always wind up using the same analogy. Diddy's, Jeffrey Epstein's Island and Freakoff's operation. Theoretically, Diddy wasn't some malevolent intellect who came up with this all by himself. No, the idea is that he served as a facilitator. Someone added location to perform a particular task. Consider if these events were being filmed by Diddy, and according to federal indictments, he was. For whom was the video intended? Who desired those tapes? The individuals listed above are John Doe's possible hiding place in the background. CEOs, politicians, and international. Diddy's gatherings are used by elites such as their own play area.
Between Diddy and Epstein, it's good. There's probably several thousand hours of footage here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I should say, I think you voted for it.
I'd like to see a matchup of those, call it the top 100 puppet masters in the Epstein client list.
Do you think there's some overlap?
Strong overlap. Strong overlap.
When are we going to see that list, do you think?
I don't know.
Will that ever come out, do you think?
You know, I think part of why Kamala is getting so much support is that if Trump wins, that Epstein client list is going to become public.
Yes.
And some of those billionaires behind Kamala are terrified of that outcome.
Yeah. Do you think Reid Hoffman's uncomfortable?
Yes. And Gates.
And Gates.
Yeah.
And I only ask that because you just look at them and you're like, that's a nervous person right there. I don't know. I mean, I assume you know them. Yeah.
Yes.
Additionally, it seems that there are thousands of hours of video, not only from Diddy's gatherings, but ties to Epstein's tapes as well. If that's accurate, we're discussing a full-fledged kind of blackmail operation that lasts for many years. actually made reference to this on Joe Rogan's. He proposed that a portion of the reason some political figures gain enormous the reason for billionaires' backing is they're scared, fearful that if the wrong person assumes power, begin to emerge. The client of Epstein, the Diddy party list, names such as Bill Gates and Reid Hoffman were brought up as individuals who could feel uneasy regarding possible disclosures. Additionally, when Elon was asked by Rogan if Reid Hoffman appeared, Elon gave a single anxious response. Word indeed.
Have these guys, like a Jeffrey Epstein type guy, who works with the elite of the elite clientele. It's all movie stars, big-time politicians, world leaders, scientists, Nobel Prize winners, and they all meet together and have fascinating conversations and cocktails, and there's beautiful girls everywhere. Of course. What a great idea.
Right.
And if you're naive and you don't understand honeypots.
Here's the quote from Maria Farmer, who was one of the accusers from what was inside the house in New York.
Okay, she said, there were monitors inside this cabinet. I looked on the cameras and I saw toilet, bed, toilet. She said, visibly spooked. Like, I'm never going to use the restroom here and I'm never going to sleep here. You know what I mean? It was very obvious that they were like monitoring private moments. Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Maria Farmer was the one who worked at Epstein's office in New York, I think.
And this was the house, Jamie?
Yeah, I was looking up stuff on the house. That was like what they
I wonder if the house still has fucking cameras in it somewhere that they haven't found yet.
They definitely, don't know.
Yeah, you'd have to scan the shit out of that house. You'd have to take the walls apart. There's probably listening devices inside the walls. Like, who knows? If this was like really an intelligence operation, yeah, they probably had that house fully wired.
This is an example of the facilitator model in action. Men like Diddy and Epstein made protected settings, locations where politicians and celebrities that were unable to party in public could act whichever they desired. This is the trap. The weren't merely locations for parties. They were honeypots, locations where elites might be observed, captured, and managed. It was best expressed by Rogan. If this wasn't an operation of an intelligence agency, then it's one extraordinarily malevolent genius who realized, figure out how to make everyone compromise. Individuals store their phones. Inform them. Nobody will be aware of anything. However, you installed cameras all around the place to record everything. The query Rogan posed. The important one comes next. Did he do that? Collaborating with someone in a position of authority, or did he simply goes too far and loses command? Jennifer was mentioned by Elon Musk. Lopez when speaking with Joe Rogan. Furthermore, it had nothing to do with politics. Was about being credible. His argument was harsh but straightforward. If individuals were that, after years of being close to Diddy, where were the cautions? Where were the warning signs? Joe was the girlfriend of Diddy. They were in a relationship. Were present at gatherings, parties, everything. This is the awkward part. Query. How many individuals did she alert? Concerning Diddy? Nothing. 0 is the response. This created an opportunity that no one desired. To confront. If someone were present in the inner circle without uttering a word. In reality, what does that mean? They were clueless about what was going on, which many people find extremely challenging. To think, or they were aware of something and opted to remain silent. If they remained silent, why was it fear, allegiance, defending their own reputation, or were they safeguarding a person much higher up the chain? People ask these kinds of queries. Ought to be inquiring. In the course of federal raids on Diddy's residences, agents allegedly captured thousands of hours of video. We're not discussing a few clips. Thousands of hours. Commentators such as Gene Deal and Jaguar Wright have spoken about the operation of this video. It wasn't just as a kind of blackmail. It was insurance, how to maintain discipline without Diddy, never needing to make direct threats to anyone. Now, rumors are circulating that these tapes are being transported in silence, and that is directly causing concern among big names who could be exposed. Megyn Kelly raised an excellent point. Diddy is not even being prosecuted for the assault that was captured on camera. Recognize the graphic video of him beating Cassie in the corridor of the hotel. Thus, if he's not getting billed for something that we all observed with our own eyes, what does that explain to you? What else they are safeguarding? The actual queries are, now has every video? What's true in those videos? And what would take place if thousands of famous people unexpectedly caught on camera doing things they never desired by the public? Perhaps the most unsettling part isn't what we already understand. Perhaps it's what we're still being denied. When cameras are prohibited and secrets are, who actually has the remote sold? Who's truly in charge? This one startled many individuals. In the documentary 50 Cents, some editing is done in a highly calculated way. The picture of Bishop T.D. Jake appears during parts about Diddy's gatherings. Many individuals on the internet don't believe that was a mishap. They think 50 Cent was transmitting a secret message, but still a message. When Bishop T.D. at last, Jake was addressed with Diddy's response to the accusations. Everything is worse. Rather than stating, "No, I was never involved," he simply said, "Keep it moving." After that, he said something that caused the internet to total madness. He stated that even if that were the case, sins can be atoned for via repentance. He continued by saying that he didn't even require to express regret for this. For most people, that didn't sound assured or innocence. It seemed as though he was dodging and dancing around the question without really responding to it. The Jaguar Wright seized upon this right away. Asserted that if Bishop Jake were present in Diddy's social circles, it could only be for two reasons: access or money. To characterize these covert meetings as leverage zones are areas where impact is constructed and subsequently employed against individuals. Later, Gene Deal, a former bodyguard, raised his own inquiries. Why would a reputable, even a religious leader, can be seen close to parties that insiders characterize as anything but tidy? Additionally, he implied that he has heard rumors regarding cassettes, recordings that could potentially surface. And if that occurs, Gene stated, the topic of discussion won't be conjecture no more. It will be roughly evidence, unquestionable proof. The few researchers are charting this whole similar to a pyramid. Additionally, when it is arranged that way, it makes horrifying sense. At the base of the pyramid, you have names like Jay-Z and Beyonce, strongest but still obeying directives from above. In the center, you have the main gatekeepers, individuals such as Clive Davis, Oprah, and record executives in charge of fame, access, and good fortune. Additionally, near the top, the secret name that apparently connects everything. Collectively, the impact doesn't only Hollywood or touch music. It extends into technology, politics, and even religion. Establishments. Dave Chappelle, comedian, discussed this years ago, but no one truly paid attention. He explained the entertainment industry as a trap, not only a difficult industry or a poor contract system based only on control. People questioned him about why he didn't simply accept his program to a different network. His response was cool. According to him, it would be like sprinting between plantations. Same chains, different master. Someone as powerful and prosperous as Dave Chappelle felt imprisoned. What does that indicate about the system? Everyone else? What does it say regarding those who are merely attempting to survive within the apparatus without receiving crushed? Thus, after learning all of this, from the purported blackmail scheme of Diddy to the gatekeepers of finances at Jay-Z's Universal Music Group, links to the parallelism of Epstein, from the power pyramid to Bishop T.D. Jake. Structure, what do you genuinely believe is what's happening here? Is this only a collection of coincidences occurring simultaneously? Or are we at last witnessing reality cracks in a manner that is significantly larger than did any of us realize? I'd like to know what you consider. Share your opinions in the remarks below. Really, tell me what you think this is actually taking place. I really appreciate you viewing. Remain curious, keep asking questions, and I'll see you in the subsequent one.